How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod.
Oh, hello.
Go on.
Matt K, hi.
Mod Ghost, hello.
Sorry, I should have coordinated that better.
You should have done, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, and Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you forgot my name, to be fair.
All right, so before we get into this one,
Just pause.
That was smooth.
quick announcement before we get into this one. It is currently James's birthday. Mod
Yes.
James.
You won't come over here to say hello.
And last week it was actually Mod Simon's birthday, right? Was that last week? So if we can get a nice happy birthday in the chat, that'd be cool. Aside from that, I think we're good to go. Today we did have some updates. Before we get into the questions, we had spacebar to skip dialogue. We had wilderness boss pets, a few other cool quality of life. Anybody want to take us through? People who maybe made the updates, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we've had the wilderness boss pets. They're out. That's Scorpia, Callisto, Vitian, and Revenant. That's the other one. They're out there. We're not releasing the drop rates just yet. We'll let those settle for a little bit and let people hunt them and gather them before we then start ruining the hunt by giving up their drop rates. Those are fine.
You love the dialogue you wrote for them.
Yes, obviously they got some dialogue and they go in the menagerie. You can insure them and all that stuff like you would do any other pets, really.
I think Gareth did a good job on the chat heads.
Cool, yeah. There's some brand new chat heads, all with custom animations, custom models, all recreated from the NPCs, so they just look authentic, just for you.
Are they the first piece of the content we introduced, actually alongside what you've done, or what you've done, sorry, that's past the near miss poll? Because they were polled before, weren't they?
They were. Pets have changed a bit since we first offered that kind of thing. People have got used to the idea that boss pets doesn't mean that it's Petscape with everyone having a follower everywhere. So I guess there's a bit more support this time.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Nash has obviously done the spacebar through chat.
Oh yes, that was fun. I think 47 interfaces were needed updating for that. All the different kinds of chat box you could have down there for different numbers of lines, and whether the head's on the left or on the right, or all the menus. There were 2 sets of those, and some special custom ones for Firewatch when they don't want you to click away from it, and another special custom one for some dwarf cutscenes in Keldebrim where chat is appearing over the characters' heads at the same time. I was able to kind of amalgamate a lot of these into fewer interfaces, so hopefully it'll keep your download size down as well.
Cool. All right.
We had the G item sets as well, didn't we?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we've had those out.
Yes, you've made some new graphics for item sets for prayer book pages,
Yeah,
Dragonhide
that's right.
for the gods,
Yep.
and party hats and Halloween masks.
That's it, yeah.
And various diary fixes. I think a few jobs have trickled through for those.
Yeah.
Nothing too major.
Plus about
Small
5 other things from Poll 30 involving god swords becoming more accurate in accurate mode. That's a nice change.
Oh, the recoil changing message when it's broken.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the option to break it, that was from Poll 31, but we thought we'd put it through with the new message colour as well, because we can.
Why not? All right, so let's get into the questions. First one's from Callum Pat, and he asks, will membership bonds work like they did in RS3? Meaning they will be untradeable once you buy them from the Grin Exchange, and then you'll have to pay a 10% fee to make them tradeable.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Exactly
Speaking
the
of
same.
bonds, any updates on bonds?
Bonds next week, all being well. Ian, so it's been a huge job, you can believe how big it's been. We thought it'd be quite straightforward-ish when we first started looking at it, but it's been quite massive. But Ian's done a great job, and yeah, all being well next week. We have a wonderful model made by Gareth here, which hopefully you've all seen, which has made everybody jealous.
It's a really cool image.
It is a good image. But yeah, next week, all being well.
Cool. All right. Next question. This one's from Peace. And he asks, can we graphically update the Armadillo helmet on females to match the male version?
Yeah, sure, we've actually got some images. I've done some test models for you just to check out on stream now. So you can let us know how it's going in chat. Have you got the images ready, James? Yeah, nice one, cool. Okay, so you can see we've got the female helm on the left-hand side of the screen. And I've taken the top section and moved that across. I've tried to keep all the geometry exactly the same, so there's no sort of any sort of like new elements added. Then you can see the bottom section of the beak on the right-hand side has been moved across as well, and so they've just been joined together. I think we've got a side-on image as well, so you can just see those. There you go.
Oh, that's smooth.
Yeah. So that's it. I think we're going to poll that, aren't we? Oh well, we will have to poll that.
Like a good idea.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But yeah, so that's what you've got for the poll. So you just vote on it. Let us know what you think, and you might get it in game if it passes.
They seem quite excited about it in the chat, don't they?
Yeah, it's amazing. You do how much work into the Achievement Diary armor kits, and then you tweet a picture of a small helmet change. It's like, oh my god, this is game changing.
Don't remind me of this. Just move on.
All right.
I think when we first put out the God Wars dungeon, the Armadillo female helm didn't have the gold crest on top at all.
it didn't.
I don't know why that is. I checked that the model was definitely called Armadillo female helm and all that, so it wasn't the wrong model or anything like people thought it might have been. It just didn't happen to have the crest.
It almost
I
looks
suspect
like
some artist a long time ago figured, well, male birds have these things, female birds maybe don't.
Okay.
So they thought maybe this piece of metal should change shape when you equip it as a woman. Not something we've decided to stick to.
And become completely inappropriate as a helm. Just utterly useless. It's more like a fascinator from a wedding, in my
I thought it
opinion.
looks like
It's,
a blue shower cap.
yeah,
like
or a
fascinators,
blue
yeah.
shower cap.
All right, we've got questions. This one's from Always Goes Rar. It's always a hard one to say. He asks, with achievement diaries armors, which one of them are required to have on you, and which ones of them are required to be wielded to have their effect in action, if that made sense?
Right, so obviously you're going to need to have the Varrock plate body equipped when you're mining to get the extra ores, and when you're smithing. You're also going to need the Kandarin helmet to get the extra log.
Is that equipped or in your inventory?
Equipped.
Okay.
And the Falador shield, you need to have that on you, both equipped or in your inventory, to use the mole locator. Other than that, I think simply completing the diary is enough for you to have access to all the rewards. You don't
Okay.
need to be equipping the Lime Ridge ring, for example, to use the Drain of War shortcut. So just go ahead and carry on as you were.
So it's mostly things where you have to actually click on the item to get the effect, where
Yes.
you need to have the item.
So obviously getting the additional log, you need to be equipping the item that does that, so that's the Kandarin helmet, and obviously the Varrock plate body is necessary for mining and smithing. That's about it really.
Okay. And the people spamming about bonds, we addressed at the very beginning of the stream.
Yeah,
it'll be
late.
next week. So we'll probably readdress that
Disappointed.
at the end of the stream because we'll get some new viewers, but why not? All right, next question. This one's from Arrogant Cyborg, and he asks, can we please get a fletch all option similar to cooking? So this is one of those ones that's pretty much asked every week. And it's not that I ignore them, but it's that we've answered them multiple times, just as other questions. So
Maybe they're hoping that if they ask it enough times, we'll say something different.
yeah.
Well, I went and had a look at what it would take to change the MakeX interfaces. See, there isn't a specific one for fletching and a separate one for smithing and a separate one for fletching something else. Most of these interfaces are used across lots of skills, with an interface for skill features with 2 items, skill features with 3 items, 4 and 5. About 3 variants for skill features with 1 item, depending on what size they thought the item might turn out to be. And a separate one for cooking, because that one did have something custom, so it could use cook rather than make as the verb. And a separate one for churning. In fact, 3 separate ones for churning. Now, the thing about all these interfaces is that they are saved out in the older format. The thing about RuneScape's interfaces is that back in 2004, when RS2 came out, Andrew wrote a very simple interface format. It wasn't flexible, but the things it did very much simply inside the engine, so developers didn't have to spend very long to making interfaces and menus. In 2006, Andrew rewrote interfaces, created a much more flexible system with what we call client script. This allows us to do more flexible things that the engine didn't expect necessarily, but it takes a lot longer to make anything out of it. Now, to edit those interfaces, well, we can't edit them in the old format. We'd have to convert them to the new format and save them out as a new interface and work from there, which we're very happy to do. We've done it to quite a few interfaces already, but it takes a bit of time. And since those interfaces are tied to every skill feature, we then have to sort every skill feature to handle them, which means that it should be a matter of add an extra right click. That would take 5 minutes, yeah. This requires us to go into the code of just about every skill feature that uses them, which we can do, but you don't expect us to slip that one through as a quick job alongside a few other quality of life fixes. That's bigger, I think, than the Easter event. And I'd really like us to be able to move on to resizable mode in the not too distant future.
Yes.
So undertaking
God, yes.
big things like that is a balance for you.
Okay.
You either get it, but you postpone resizable, or we get to move on to resizable, but you accept you're not going to have that for a fair bit longer. There's also the question of whether you want it, whether people would like skills in Old School Runescape to have that kind of change. I suspect it probably would pass, but I'm not going to assume.
All right, there you go. So it is doable, but it's a very, very big task.
Yes.
And it wouldn't just be for fletching. I would assume this would be for pretty much every skill.
If you wanted us to do it just for fletching, then we'd have to make yet more versions of the interfaces so that the fletching one has it and the other ones don't.
Ah.
That would be kind of strange.
All right, so there's your answer. Next question. This one's from Really Epic Noob, and he asks, can you change the Varrock Fountain to the old 2006 version? This is the version without the walkways, and I believe it only had just one statue, so it's more just an obstacle. You have to walk around.
I did actually rebuild it once in my test stream. I
What
think
do you use for the middle thing? I never could find a model
I've
for
made
that.
it myself.
Okay.
Obviously, I couldn't find one either when I went looking, but I just made it myself. It was practically identical to what the last one was anyway.
Could even have players design their own one and put a new one in there.
It was just a block, so it wasn't anything special.
I've
at
got
the
an
time.
artist, it could be anything.
Designing
yeah.
a brand new look for the middle of the rock is controversial, but yeah, we could invite him to do it.
It's kind of nice to have like old assets reintroduced for nostalgia purposes, but I just kind of think there's no point in having just a new fountain that's going to obstruct people. I like the fact that it's got walkways. I like the fact that people can walk through that area and not have to walk all the way around it. It's neither here nor there really with the amount of time it takes to cross, but I just feel it makes the area seem more open, where bringing in a new fountain that's just like bang in the middle that you can't navigate through.
I would agree.
It sings the praises of nostalgia, really, which is what makes it sort of appealing. But I don't think, like you say, having the walkthrough on it is kind of a minor advantage, I guess. I think people fire make through it. That's about the only.
I remember somebody on the forum
I think
saying,
we'll
I'm the
use-
first player ever to light fires all the way through the rock and out the other side.
Well, the thing is, even if you're teleporting to Varrock and hoping to make your way to the Grand Exchange, now you're just going to have to run just a few more steps around this thing. And just those few steps I can see really upsetting a few players a lot for some reason.
Either way, I have rebuilt that fountain in my test stream, so it is possible. It's there.
Pull it.
For that matter,
Why not?
our Grand Exchange doesn't have a fountain, right?
No, it doesn't.
But the middle of the rock does have a water source. It's nice having one.
Okay. So,
Do you think polling it then, Matt?
I think we might as well. If it's
Yep.
all ready to rock and roll. then-
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
it's not hard to
Might
do.
as
It's a few minutes worth of work.
do we maybe get that as our first straw poll, Ben?
Yeah, so I think that
Yeah.
makes sense.
How they feel about that. So, do you guys want the Varrock Fountain reverted back to the 2006 version without the walkways in the middle? What are your thoughts on that? And while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and just say Dragon Claws, not right now, maybe in the future. Okay. If you want to learn more about Dragon Claws, there's a video on YouTube where we talk very intensely about it for a very long time. Aside from that, nothing's changed.
Best
Yep.
live stream ever.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next question. This one's from Lord Zace, and he says, can we switch the PvP worlds back to the UK hosts since they seem to be more stable?
They are more stable, but they might not stay more stable, so we need to keep watching, decide what's the right thing to do. I mean, we can move them back, but let's just keep watching before we make any decisions on that sort of thing.
Yeah, certainly can't keep going back and forth every month.
Absolutely, yeah.
There are also players suggesting that maybe you make one into the US world, one into a UK world.
Yeah, again,
compromise.
that's another option. I mean, the problem is that I can't say in detail why we moved them, which, you know, if I could, then you'd obviously sit there and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, but then that gives away sort of how our network works, which I can't do. But as soon as we're able to, and as soon as we're confident that it's the right thing to do, we'll do it. But that's not right now, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Soz.
All right, next question.
Soz, yeah.
Soz.
So probably 1990s
Fascinating.
work.
All right, we've got the results back from that straw poll.
Well, we
Oh,
haven't yet.
wow.
They're still going pretty rapidly.
They're
Look at
not
that.
changing too much. What's that, like 65%, 60%, something like that?
60%
Quite
right.
surprised.
Saying no.
Yeah. Maybe we should. Well, we should
Oh, the nose on top.
probably poll it anyway and see what the wider community thinks.
Everyone should
but
have nose on top.
That's going to be a definite knock on
apparently,
pass.
So I like the word soz. There you go. I don't know why.
Okay. Next question. Let's see. This one's from Christoph, and he asks, "Can we get BowSwords?" So apparently we already have one in game. I haven't seen it.
It's the Devious Minds quest.
Is it the? Is it a mithril one?
Yes, you make a mithril bowsword for
Okay,
that quest, and
okay.
then it's taken off of you, and you never see it again.
So the idea to use a bow as a sword, or rather just a blunt weapon, is kind of cool. But is it really going to be that effective?
I don't understand how you can use it. But I mean, got a sword, and it's got
Yeah.
a bow string attached to it. I'm guessing is how it works.
No.
No. Okay.
No. Imagine you're shooting a bow with arrows. You
Yeah.
ran out of arrows. What do you do next? You take the bow and you smack him with it.
Right.
That's that.
So there's a sharp part on the bow.
No, it's just a wooden bow.
It doesn't sound much like a
Are
sword
you
to me.
sure?
Maybe
Okay.
there is a sharp part element, is there?
Well, I say that's
it's made
very
of mithril.
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I thought you just smack them with a piece of wood.
I thought it's made of
That
mithril.
was that.
I-
Maybe you take the string and strangle them? Like, I don't know. Be more effective
I
than...
feel this question wasn't particularly well
Yeah,
researched.
you haven't done the most
That was
rudimentary
it. It was, can you
research,
have a
Chris.
BowSword? I was like, all right.
We
I
could
mean-
make you a BowSword if we could, if you really wanted us to.
I'm not seeing.
I'd rather have sword bow, quite frankly. In fact, I watched a film years and years ago, a really terrible sci-fi film, and they had a sword with 3 prongs on it, and 2 of the prongs on each side would fire out and stab people
You know,
and shoot out like stuff. I can't remember what the film was called. It was terrible. I remember that much. It wasn't 1980s, so you know.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
No,
How dare you, Ash?
yeah, he
No idea.
I actually played. Sorry, just ignore us for a minute. I actually played that to my children the other day, the He-Man things, and they thought it was great.
What, the one with Frank Langella and Dolph
No,
Lundgren?
the actual proper cartoons from the
Oh,
original
the cartoons, yeah.
cartoons
I
were
thought they were brilliant.
Never seen it.
Okay. Back on the topic
Yeah, sorry.
of the BowSword,
And we're
sword bow. Yeah, I guess there would have to be a blade on the end of the bow. But I just, what do you...
I feel we've gone way too deep into this.
As I recall, you get a piece of mithril, you make a sword out of it, then you have to sharpen it on Doric's whetstone or something to get it into a BowSword for the quest. And it had the highest smithing requirements of any quest at the time when it came out, and stayed that way till I think rocking out.
So where does the bowstring go then?
Same spot?
Because what goes through my mind is
still thinking
sword,
way too deep.
bowstring. So if you hold on to the sword, you're going to cut your hand off.
All right. So yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
let's just go to the next one. Okay, cool idea, but maybe not so much for old school. Can we have champion/calling beads? Is this one for Mod Ash?
Yeah, some player says he's been sending it to you every week for weeks, and apparently it's never got to you, so I don't know where he's been sending it.
Yes. Let's do this right now. All right. So player's saying, I've been sending this question for weeks. He hasn't said it yet. The only reason that may or may not happen is, one, we've already addressed it several times, being, for example, Dragon Claws, a couple other topics that will come up later in the stream that we'll address. You know what? Let's do it right after this. We'll do Nightmare Zone and Splashing. But that's pretty much the biggest reason. I haven't missed a single thing. I read every single Reddit thread. I read every single tweet. Nothing gets past me. So,
So why are we having this problem?
this is a problem.
Well, this guy's been asking you for ages about champions beads, and apparently we're having a problem.
I'm calling shenanigans.
You're calling him a liar.
Yeah.
If you have been affected by Chris's claims, please tweet at JagXRonan your complaint, and he shall process it for you.
Okay. Right. So back to the question. Let's go back to the question. Champion/calling beads.
So, yeah, I'd like to get more rewards on the Champions Challenge,
That's what
because at the
champions.
moment it gives you kind of peanuts in Slayer XP and nothing else. The beads that cause something to be following you might be a bit more controversial though, because what people think of Petscape. So it could be that wouldn't get through, but something else rewarding, like more XP maybe, or the chance to do more stuff might go down a little better. But yeah, if people actually turn out to support the idea of having the beads that have the thing following you, then we can go there. I just wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of reservations on that one.
Okay.
We'll probably do better things with the champion scrolls anyway, I think.
Yeah. There've actually been a couple of really cool ideas that might be better sorted for a PDC if and when we do that next. For the champion scrolls,
Maybe.
some really good ideas coming through. But aside from that, yeah, let's go into it. So, splashing in Nightmare Zone.
So,
individually or together?
We'll do them
All
together.
of them.
It's effectively the same thing. And you remember that last November, I think it was, we sort of asked you what we should do about it, and as many people wanted to get rid of it as wanted to keep it, so there is no right decision for us to make. We're still in the exactly same position. I mean, for everybody who says get rid of it, there is still somebody who wants to keep it. I think the next step we've got to make is actually have a look at what's going on in Nightmare Zone, what's happening with Splashing, how many people are doing it, what sort of benefits they get, and what they're doing with their accounts after they've done it, what they're doing with their accounts before they're doing it. Because if we find that it's being primarily used by real-world traders to create high-level accounts and sell them on, then obviously we're going to do something, but we don't know if that's the case. To find that out, we need to take all our data feeds and push them to the data warehouse where they can be looked at properly. We can't do that until bonds are out. We've then got some work to do on Chrome users, and then we can start looking at getting those data feeds plugged in. Then we can go get all the information, and then we can come to you guys and say, look, these are the facts of what's going on, this is what's happening in Nightmare Zone, this is what's happening with Splash, and this is the impact it's having on game. Does that change your mind? And if it does, we'll do something then. If it doesn't, we'll keep going the way we are. But at the end of the day, like I said, everybody who wants us to remove it, there's somebody who wants us to keep it, and we're just stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment. So hopefully a couple of months we'll have a bit more information, and then we can talk about it a bit more then.
For the time being, if you think you have any master solutions, if there's anything out there that hasn't been thought up yet, by all means, feel free to send it our way, and we will definitely take it as seriously as you can imagine.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's Nightmare Zone Splashing. We'll address that again next week. But yeah, really, a highlight of that will be on the YouTube channel if you missed that. Aside from that,
if you missed that and you're telling them now, that's a very few amount of people.
if you just tuned in 5 seconds ago. Okay. So next question. Is it possible to have the Friends Chat rank icons appear in the chat box? It's a kind of cool idea.
Well, I think with low engine support, yes.
Yeah.
Although getting that as opposed to Bonds or this data warehouse or the thing for Chrome people, tricky kind of choice priorities there. I don't think it's going to be the icons.
With the priorities I'm wanting for Zaya at the moment, especially the first stage of development, I'm going to be consuming a lot of Ian's time. Not sure how that's going to work alongside Resizable, but that's another hurdle to come across.
We can cross that, it's not a problem.
How much are you going to ask Ian to do? I thought it was just things like weather conditions and things like that.
For the first proposed section or sprint, as it's widely known, that we're going to try and tackle, is going to include quite a lot of Ian's time.
Okay, cool.
And considering it's raids that I'd like to try and sort of get out of the way first, and this sort of randomly generated dungeon-esque type theme, or dungeoneering-esque type theme, I'd like the maze algorithms that RS3 has for dungeoneering put into Old School.
Cool. Okay, that sounds interesting.
Some very complex algorithms there, so I'd like Ian to spend some time working out what they mean and then showing me what they mean.
Yeah, sure.
So I can then coordinate some sort of map structure that might generate quite an interesting raid.
Cool.
Okay. But as far as the chat rank icons appearing in the chat box, it sounds like a bigger update than something that's maybe, what would seem small.
If we're going to postpone all the other stuff Ian could be doing, I'd want to get something a bit more beneficial than the icons. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a nice idea.
Just to throw this out there quickly, we're not getting dungeoneering. I'm asking for the algorithms that generate random maps like dungeoneering does. I'm using dungeoneering as an example. We're not getting dungeoneering / chaotix.
Yeah. So when's engineering coming though?
All right. Next question. This one's from Braves HD, and he asks, do you have any plans to make the Kraken Tentacle rise in price, as it's currently crashing pretty hard? And we like the Kraken Tentacle.
Add a item to dungeoneering, which will add an
Maybe we can make a BowSword.
Yes, out of a tentacle, which is...
We actually sat down last week and we were discussing... I can't remember if we were discussing the Kraken Tentacle specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about Seercoals actually. And at the same time, one of us, I can't remember who exactly, raised the concern that the Kraken Tentacle is rather cheap at the moment. It's what, 400k? Somewhere around that price?
Less than that.
And it's done its job of keeping the whip price stable, if not raising it quite well with its consumption. So that's quite nice. It works with the whip, but obviously the Kraken Tentacle itself then comes back to you once your whip is degraded and you carry on using it. So there's no real need to go through them. So we thought of a way of maybe taking the Kraken Tentacles out of game, which might give them some purpose or some farmability. And we were thinking of maybe combining the Kraken Tentacle with a Seercoal to obviously boost the Kraken Tentacle's value and the Seercoal's value, maybe making a super bow or something like that.
The idea was to get a knife and slit the Kraken Tentacle into some sinews, thus destroying the tentacle, and the sinews would then be used to restring Seercoal, giving it some kind of bonus in addition to the magic reducing effect it already has.
Yeah.
Now, Seercoal's also been quite dropping in value because
it's always been useless.
And it's
there's not what you can do with Seercoal. It makes your opponent's magic level go down, which is useless if they're an NPC, and it's not that much use in PvP unless you're in Castle Wars and you want to stop somebody barraging. So
it's actually a really cool idea. And when you look into the Seercoal, however you say it, it stands for Seer being, wizard, and Cull being kill.
Yeah.
And then the special attack for it, I believe, was called the Soul Shot. I didn't know, first of all, special attacks have names.
Yep.
Yeah.
You didn't know that.
Yeah,
Mythbusters.
that ruins your Mythbusters stream, yeah.
I'm still going to put it in there. By the way, we're going to have a Mythbuster stream by the end of the month, I believe, so tune into that. We have a lot of really, really good myths to be busted. So look forward to that.
Just to confirm, by the way, it's if you're going to try and buy out circles, as the chat is suggesting, we haven't actually confirmed we're doing this yet. We might change our minds.
And it might fail a poll.
Exactly. So if you're going to buy out circles, don't complain 3 weeks later when they rapidly drop in price because we haven't done anything with them.
It's been done before.
Exactly.
You just mention something like this. They go up so high, and then you're like, actually, we changed our mind.
You might be wasting your time if you try and do that. So
It's like a real stock market.
don't try and jump the gun.
Yeah, but it is a really cool idea being able to use the Kraken tentacle with the circle, making it into a.
It'd be just a nice idea
weapon.
to make obviously the circle useful if we choose circle in the end, and actually find a way of getting the Kraken tentacle out of the game.
Since we do currently have obviously the whip and the staff, being the trident, it'd be nice to have a range weapon in there. So, cool idea. All right, next question. This one's from Husky Paws, and he asks, can we expect a full bunny outfit in the future to match the rest of the Easter cosmetics?
I think so.
I have time if you want a full bunny outfit. It's up to Ash really, because it's his bit of content. I don't want to dictate.
Well, at the time I was looking for something that wouldn't take too much of your time, which is why I offered them bunny feet in the poll, and they voted yes to it. I'm sure we'll be around next Easter and wanting full bunny.
It's quite strange considering Wed goes by this persona where he considers himself a bunny. I think
Does he?
He's known as like some sort of band bunny or something. So
Does
I think
he want people knowing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is on his Twitter.
His missus tweeted it out once.
Yeah. So I think he wants a bunny outfit.
Okay.
So we kind of have reason internally at least.
Right. So
Can I just say now there'll be no Playboy bunny outfit? So a few people have asked for that. We're not doing that because I think that's a bit. Yeah.
And if you don't know what that means, we're not telling you to look it up.
No, don't look it up.
right.
Stay
so
away.
Speaking of Easter, we were thinking about offering what was the bunny feet?
We offered the bunny feet,
Yep.
and it passed.
Nice. Very happy about that.
We also offered separately, in a separate question, chocolate bunny pet. So that got 73% to the end, so we will not be doing it.
There you go. So potentially in the future there will be eventually a full bunny set. So make sure you get it this Easter event, otherwise you won't be matching.
At the time, we'd always make the things available in previous events. But
Okay.
at the time, we were thinking bunny mask, bunny nose, bunny tail. That's the word. Or bunny feet, and feet seem like the best place to go because it doesn't get in the way of the existing bunny ears that's been in the game since 2003-ish.
And what we can do at some point in the future as well, once we've got the full bunny outfit, I can't believe we talk about full bunny outfits, we could do a bunny nose, which you then can attach to your bunny ears to make a bunny onesie type thing, yes.
You could do that in the jaw slot, couldn't you? If we
If we take us seriously, we're
we
thinking of
could
making a bunny onesie. We just lost all credibility.
All right.
I also think that maybe the Easter stream we should all be dressed up as bunnies to show them what it might look like.
Yes, that's a
I'll
great
have
idea.
a chat with office support, see if they can source us some bunny outfits.
I just remembered I'm sick that day.
Can I have a dark green one with a horrible, ghastly bunny face mask like in that movie?
The zombie bunny?
Oh.
Like
I was
Donnie
thinking of Donnie
Darko.
Darko.
Oh, I thought you were going for like myxomatosis or something.
Well,
I thought you were
I'm
going
sure
with.
that's equally fun.
Fair enough.
Okay, right, let's go to the next question then.
Yeah, I got a bit weird.
This one's from Oblivionite, who you may have seen this past month or so even on Reddit, who's been dominating the 2007 Scape Reddit with these really
Fantastic
cool
cartoons.
comics. So well done to him. Those are really cool to watch, actually. He has a question for Mod Ghost, I believe, and he asks, regarding content creation for Old School, specifically assets such as 3D models, is the Old School engine able to import from mainstream 3D model programs such as Maya/Blender, etc.? An example being, if we were to do a player design competition, for example, if he were to create some cool 3D models for maybe a new weapon or whatever, outfit, whatever, if he sent those models to us, could we put them in the game?
I think I wouldn't restrict it to, to answer that one, yes. We could actually take the 3D model files, because that's what I have to do. I model in 3ds Max, as people have seen on live stream, and then move them over into our own in-house tools, and so we can definitely do that. If we're going to have a design competition, though, I wouldn't just want to say to people, only people that can 3D model can enter this competition. I'd like to say to people with lots of different artistic skills and crafts that they can, that you can paint, you can draw, you can do Photoshop, whatever you feel necessary, get involved and join in, and then we can pick from that. If we get models in, that'd be great, actually. It would be really nice, but I don't just want to say to people, it's just this group of artists that can do it. It's for all artists, really.
Right.
quite helpful since we've talked about outsourcing our tools quite a few times, but if we can work with 3ds Max externally, it's quite nice for people to create models and then send them to us,
that's it.
assuming they're within a prescribed poly limit. But
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So to answer your question, that's a yes. All right, next question. This one's from Tim, and he asks, can we get a longer character limit for private messages like RS3 does?
Probably.
It's 80 at the moment, isn't it?
I forget, but if Ian can change the engine for us, then yes.
I think it's 80. I think RS3 has 255.
A lot of requests for Ian's help today.
It is always the way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of the best things we can get are locked behind Ian somewhere.
Nicely put.
Hang on, who sits behind Ian?
That's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, you sit behind Ian.
All right, so possible, but we'll have to look into that one. Next question from Tim again, and he asks, can we get alchemy tablets?
We asked us this morning. I think RS3 has them.
I believe they do.
I had a look into that a while back. When Mod John A was writing POH in the first place, alchemy tablets was one of the things that he was going to include. And we've still actually got some of the code he wrote for that tied into our alchemy code, and with no obvious sign for what it's meant to be doing. The reason he didn't release it is that he couldn't make the tablets work reliably when you use them on items as opposed to when you use the item on the tablet. We don't have a nice solution for that at the moment, but if we ever get to convert the inventory panel interface into the 2006 format rather than the old 2004 format it's using, and recreate all the content tied to that, then we would probably be able to make that alchemy tablet work correctly, which he would not have been able to do in 2006. So we could then try and release it. But again, that's a fairly big job, which affects a lot of stuff. Like if we remake that inventory panel and we don't get it quite right, you're really, really going to know about it.
Right.
This I know because I didn't get it quite right in 2009 when I last tried.
So if you don't know what an alchemy tablet is, I'm imagining, I haven't seen one, but I'm imagining it would be useful if you weren't, say, on the normal spellbook, you're on Lunar, maybe doing a Slayer task, you want to Alex something, you just click on the tablet, and that'd be that.
That would be useful for anything, wouldn't it? Because then you don't have more than one inventory spot taken up by it.
But we've seen, I don't think, a single yes.
No,
So,
I think I was about to point out the chat seems to be very strongly against that.
Well, I think it's a cool idea.
Worry.
All right.
You have to go
So
converting that interface then.
that should
That's
answer
all
your
right.
question, Tim.
Well, there's another reason we might want to do that interface, because people keep saying, can we have commas when you examine a stack of items in inventory?
Yeah.
The answer is not until we've converted that interface, because then we get flexibility to program what it gives us a description. We'd even be able to put in GE prices.
Okay. Next question. This one's from MyGapia, and he asks, when will you address the bank pin exploit?
Okay, so from what I understand is bank pin, you can log out, it resets a timer, and then you can try it again.
If you get your bank pin wrong 4 times, it locks you out for a while.
Yeah.
Not a very long while, admittedly, because it locks you out for a bit. If you log out having got it wrong a couple of times, then it resets the counter. Now, that's the way the bank pin's been since 2006, and the reason we didn't consider it to be a game-breaking exploit is that simply it stops you logging in and out quite that fast. So the amount of time taken to brute force the pin is still substantial, and in the meantime, hopefully the person who owns the account is trying to get their account back. So that's why it currently resets. We can change it, take a bit of dev time, and we're happy to do it if it just makes people feel more secure, even if it doesn't gain as much as they might think it does. But remember, what you should really be worrying about is keeping people out of your account in the first place, rather than worrying about how effectively the bank pin's going to protect your items once somebody's already stolen your account.
Yeah, I mean, by then it's effectively too late anyway. I mean, you've got, we've given you the authenticator, and as long as you're signed up to that with a 2-step authentication, then you've got no problem whatsoever. You've got 2-step on your email, 2-step on your authenticate on the RuneScape account. Then, unless somebody nicks your phone, you ain't got a problem.
Yeah, of course, having the authenticator on your account, but then someone steals your email account is not particularly useful. So if your email account is like Gmail and does offer 2-step authentication to get into that, then you really should be using that as well, because there's no point, making your RuneScape account perfectly secure, provided no one guesses that your email password is password.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the most hijacking we see at the moment is through emails, which have been stolen.
Yeah.
So 2-step authentication, I think every email offers it now. Hotmail do it, don't they?
I mean,
Through
they do.
Microsoft, Gmail do it. So if you have got an email which doesn't have it, put it on, and if it doesn't offer it, get a different email and do it, because it's 100% secure.
There's no excuses to still be using really old, ancient, like Yahoo, AOL, whatever emails that don't offer these higher security steps. Like,
absolutely.
You should have two-step on your email by all means.
Yeah, an authenticator takes less than 60 seconds to put on your account. And you only have to remember it once every 30 days.
I think we have a video on that.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
Nicely made video.
Next question. This one's from Multitask. And he asks, can we get an agility shortcut around the duo doors leading to the D case? Possibly as an elite diary reward.
I think we talked about this, but I think part of the appeal of DKs, at least, sorry, is having that two-man team requirement. Obviously, you don't need two people to do the DKs, or to take on the DKs, but getting there, that's part of the, well, I say not part of the challenge, but it's part of the history of it, really. I think if we took that away, we'd be changing quite a significant part of the game's nostalgia. So I don't think there's too many people bothered by doing that. I'm seeing a lot of no's come up, actually, so I'm probably just going to end it there, because I agree with it. I'd rather not.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Yeah.
All right. This one from Multitask again.
Rip is, sorry.
He asks, can you add a bank booth to Barbarian Assault to help make it more active?
That's on the list for future polls already, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd love to.
Awesome. Nothing really negative coming from that?
I mean, what we'd probably do is replace the bank deposit box with the bank chest, because same thing, but doesn't require there to be a barbarian stuck behind a glass counter.
All right, next question. This one's from BBQ Slayer. And he asks, can we have the ability to upgrade the Dragon Spear into a Hasta to make it more useful? So a one-handed spear? Thoughts?
We did give them the Zamorak house
Yeah.
already,
Yeah, I was
and
just
there's a
thinking
certain overlap between those things.
Yeah. Even then, if you have a Dragon Hasta, you might as well use a Zamorak. Well, there's no reason not to use a Zamorak Hasta, really.
Unless you didn't have one as an Ironman or something.
True. But even then, getting hold of a Dragon Spear is harder than getting hold of a...
That's
in
true,
some
aren't they?
respects.
They're really rare.
They're part of the rare drop table. They're
Yeah.
not very common as drops. The Zamorak Spear is much more common as a drop than the Dragon Spear, that's for sure. I'm seeing a lot of no's again in the chat, so it's probably not worth
Yeah.
talking about. But
It's an interesting idea, though. Worth a shot. Good try. All right, next question. This one's from Kathas Grout, and he asks, does the Ring of Wealth imbued work in PvP worlds?
Ring of Wealth.
Yep.
I can't remember what the imbued version does.
If you were doing some Slayer in PvP
I
worlds?
just did the models for it a while back. I think we released it maybe about 3 months back, the Ring of Wealth.
I was trying to remember specifically what we've
Indeed.
made the Ring of Wealth do.
It doubles the chance of getting blue scrolls in the wilderness.
Oh, okay. Yes, it would do.
Mod Running coming in with the save.
Yeah. So I was lost there with that one. I can't remember what we made it do. Yeah,
So
it
it
will
does.
work in PvP worlds. Yeah.
All
Did you
right.
program that, or did I? One of us must have done.
Yeah.
For that, whoever did it got lucky.
We program a lot of stuff.
All right. Next question. This one's from Sean, and he asks, could you please publish a list of all of the GE limits? Do we have such a list?
I will do.
We can make one.
Yeah. Obviously, we set the limits ourselves individually. I think I helped you one particular day before the launch of GE, setting various limits. We've also changed limits since then, depending
Which is
on...
why we never published a list at the time, because we knew that it would go out of date just a few days later, and then there'd be like half a dozen different drafts of the list knocking about, all contradicting each other.
Yeah, there's still potential for us to be changing some of the limits even now. I mean, I don't think there's too many calls for us to change some things. I think there's a few things that John and I picked up on that we might alter. I think potions being one of them, and maybe herbs.
Potions went up last week,
Potions went up last week. Okay, I was out of that one.
but herbs certainly could. Also, I think stackable things that you use in skilling, I think feathers went up massively, and quite a few alchables has increased too. I think we're getting to the point where the limits are where they're going to be, though, and yeah, I've got no problem with publishing a list now. It's not going to change so much.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's quite nice. Also, I think obviously you've probably noticed we don't actually have a GE page, but the OS Buddy guys have made an exchange page. It's something like rsbuddy.com/exchange, which is basically functions as a perfectly viable grand exchange page. It shows the buy and sell values, which is quite nice. So whilst you can't see trade limits there, you can also see how many things have been bought and sold there, which is quite nice in the interim of us between us getting our own one. So have a look at that.
In terms of the stuff for our website, so that people can have it without needing to go to another site at all, because it would be nice to show the prices on
Yes.
runescape.com somewhere. The web team has previously been doing a lot of stuff for our free-to-play launch and is now doing a lot of stuff for our bonds launch so that people can actually buy the things. Beyond that, Chrome is something we can't really shift.
For those who don't know about Chrome, is they're dropping Java support in April, so we've got stuff in there to deal with that, but nothing for you guys to worry about really.
Unless you're using Chrome, in which case please start using our downloadable client.
Yes, yeah. But all sort of communications and things will happen around that later, close to the time.
Yeah.
But obviously we need to do stuff.
Just real quick, where can they download the client?
Main page,
homepage?
under
Yep,
client.
oldschool.runescape.com, there's a link for downloading the client. One
There you
Philip
go.
put it there himself for us on its launch day.
Yeah.
So you guys probably want to have that downloaded if you don't already.
Yeah, because gradually browsers are going to stop running Java applets, and there's not a lot we can do about that, because if the browser maker doesn't want to, then it's not going to. So move to our client, that's what it's for.
All right, next question. This one's from Sean, and he asks, could you add a right-click travel option to the goblins in Lumbridge Caves that takes you to and from Dorgashun?
Yes. I think I did it before a long time ago, so for the other game. So
Okay.
I'm happy to do it again.
Awesome, that's quick. Again from Sean, could you change the Keldagrim trapdoor in the Grand Exchange to be left-clickable?
Because right-clicking is too much effort.
I kind of thought the
he's
same
only
thing,
got
and I
a
was
mouse
like,
on
you know
one
what?
button.
Maybe there's something I'm missing here. Maybe this is a good idea.
I think a left click that takes you quite a long way across the world.
I can see a lot of misclicks there.
Yeah, you don't want to misclick on that, which is why there's a left click for people who accidentally misclicked, which tells them what the thing is before they get dragged to Keldagrim. And there's a right click for people who know jolly well what it is and would like to go there without going through dialogue.
Last question from Sean. This is a good one, actually. Could you change your Rings of Forging has melted message to be a different color, similar to the Ring of Recoil message?
Easy, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, of course. When we say these things, these are for future polls. There's a lot of things for future polls. Doesn't even mean they're all passed necessarily when they get to one. And we don't always bump them ahead of everyone else's requests just because they came out of a live stream. But these are certainly good things that I think would pass.
Okay. This question's from Live2, and he asks, is anti-aliasing possible?
Anti-aliasing.
Am I saying this wrong? Really?
Anti-aliasing.
Is it that funny? Is it that funny that I can't say aliasing?
Water.
I've never even heard of this
Water.
word. So what exactly is anti-alias?
That's water.
Anti-aliasing is basically if you were to take a line of pixels, you would, within that line of pixels, you would say, right, I want 4 lines here, and then you distribute that hard edge that you get from all that pixelation across, say, 4 pixels instead of 1, so it creates a smoother, blurred edge. In Old School Runescape, you notice the edges of things do look very sort of grainy and pixelated. Yeah. I spoke to Ian earlier, and he's not too sure what the engine can do for anti-aliasing. He's not ruling it out, but he won't be able to say for sure until he actually looks into what James has done for resizable. Then he'll be able to confirm whether or not we can have anti-aliasing. But basically, once we get resizable, if you've got, what do you call it, a retina display done?
Yeah, we were talking about retina displays earlier. Yeah.
So if you've got resizable in the retina display, chances are a lot of that pixelation will be sort of offset by that. But yeah, we'd have to wait until Ian's got time available and he's working on resizable to say for sure. I'd like it there though. That'd be great.
Right. Does not sound like a small project, though.
No.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not.
No.
Okay. All right, next question. This one's from MonoRS, and he's asking, can we have the ability to pay for an upgraded Avas Accumulator that collects all ammo? Sounds a little OP, maybe, just a little bit.
I do like that if you're using ranging, you do pay a little bit for the privilege of doing so, especially if you might be using some pretty good ammo these days.
Right.
Something that retrieves all of it and makes ranging free forever and means that you just walk out into the world with 1 bolt or 1 dart. Might be kind of excessive.
I just realized that would completely make buying thousands of
Yeah, it would completely make
ranging
making
redundant.
thousands of bolts pointless.
Even if there was a very, very high price on this upgraded version of the Ava thing, like 10 million.
Chances at all. Just
Yeah.
no.
So if we put it to a straw poll, do you think we'll get anybody say yes?
Somebody did.
Someone will say yes.
That
Yeah.
one person who only has 1 bolt and he's like, this is going to be the bolt I'll use for the rest of my life.
This is how I think Drone should find out how overwhelmingly no this is.
Yeah, that's a straw poll.
Oh,
I think it would.
really?
Yeah.
That's a little mean.
Oh, why not?
I don't know.
What's the name of the person who suggested it? just putting it out there again.
No.
It says ML Goody? It says?
There's more people saying yes now that we've told them not to.
But realistically, even if it was just a little bit of a buff, the Avas Accumulator is already a very good ranged piece of equipment.
And soon I look forward to doing the job so you can buy lots of them in one transaction without quite so
Yes.
much chat.
Cannot wait for that.
That is a pain in the arse.
Ava's chat is quite a nasty piece of code. It goes through 3 files before you can even find out what she's talking about.
Who
But,
wrote it?
that
Dan's looking for someone to blame immediately.
Pneumatic, I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it works. He
Only-
wrote it to suit what he needed at the time. It wasn't
Only-
designed to be expandable.
Only because I've experienced something very, very, very similar in most of Mauritania.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was
yeah.
the same culprit
All right.
for no reason.
Moving on. This one's from OMG Rambo. Will we ever see the Revenant Cave return? This was an excellent hotspot for PvP worlds and can maybe offer substitute rewards aside from obviously PvP armors, which they've said they don't like.
I don't think we will ever see it return.
No?
Honestly, I don't think there's enough demand for it. So we probably won't poll it anytime soon. If we did, I don't think anybody would overly.
To be fair, it made the wilderness dangerous when we had a lack of PKers,
Yeah.
and we're certainly not lacking those.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Good point.
The thing about the Revenant Cave is, what would one like about it? Is it because it had some more monsters that you could have found up in the surface? Probably not. It's the Revenants. And the Revenants aren't exactly fun as such. They kite back and forth, they switch attacks and do nasty things.
And they have
The
terrible
reason-
blocking.
Yep, yes. And the reason you go there is that the Revenants dropped that stuff, which wouldn't pass a poll in our experience, because we keep offering and people keep shouting at it. So the Revenant Cave just doesn't have its selling point in any way that we can get into the game.
Certainly wouldn't pass a poll, judging from the chat. So
Well, the chat
Yeah.
shouts yes, but obviously the rest of the game has shouted no at us twice now, so
Yeah.
it's almost pointless us trying to pursue it anymore.
Yeah.
When we did the Wilderness Rejuvenation project, I think we did put some Revenants in a graveyard as one of the things on that poll, and that went nowhere, even though we hadn't said what they'd drop yet.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
all right. This question's from Stephanie, and she asks, any news on the possibility of having world broadcasts when players achieve 99s and 200 mils, etc.? Sounds like another question for Ian.
Yep.
I think that'd be very spammy though, wouldn't it?
Well,
Did that
we
many
give
people
them an
get
opt-out.
99s and 200 mils in Old School?
Almost, well, 200 mil, certainly not.
I think it'd be good to send it to your friends.
I think if you had, obviously
Send
with a top,
automated
obviously, I
message
think
to
seeing your
friends.
friends achieve things would be quite nice. It's always nice, seeing blah 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 as maxed out all skills and all
I agree
that.
with
but
that.
Not people aren't doing that every 20 seconds, and
Yeah.
so you're not going to get spammed by it. And I don't think it's going to be. I don't know. I thought it would be a bit too spammy.
What was the name of the person who?
Stephanie.
Stephanie. Oh,
Yeah.
I think that's a good question.
I think the chat again has spoken for us. So I mean,
Either Stephanie or Steven, I can't. Maybe Stephanie. All right.
Where are we going with this?
stare of death.
Ronan's friend, all right. Just to make everybody else aware, Ronan's friend.
Simple hero.
Pardon?
Simple hero. Don't know he's a YouTuber.
Superhero. His name is
Stefan.
Stefan, and he doesn't like being called Stefan, which Chris called him last time. So we've
Ronan's
called him
asked me to
Steve
call
and
him
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
So that's Ronan's fault. Sorry, Stefan.
Just to let you guys in
So
on
you're being
this,
very
on this.
derogatory towards his name, basically.
Yeah.
A horrible person.
Might be a real grill. All right, next question. This one's from Drainexel, and he asks, can we have the ability to make our player-owned house doors unclosable to fight the trolls?
Don't see why not.
That'd be so nice.
Yep.
I've seen people, I've been standing there watching people at prayer altars, watching people just stand there for no purpose other than just shut those doors to that altar
It
We'll
is-
stick it
it is
alongside
kind of
the
funny,
option
though.
that makes them be open by default. We could make them be open
forever.
locked.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have door stops.
Wedge.
Model them,
Yeah. Wedges.
Wedges, yeah.
Yeah.
You could collect different sorts of door stops, so maybe upgrade it.
Yeah, the
do have-
mahogany door stop keeps the door open more.
We do have an NPC called the Wedge that can maybe sell you wedges.
And there's a
Around
1
with
chance
your
he just
pants
gives you a
over
wedgie instead.
All right, next
Been
question.
before.
This one's from Movich, and he asks, seeing how the Cerberus in Greek myth means half dog, half snake, sorry, when you release him as the Hellhound boss, could he have a venomous attack?
Weren't you making that, James?
No, I tried, but then you got Gareth who's just 10 times better.
I mean, you were coding the boss there, weren't you?
Well, I read some like mechanics, but it's more to learn. But I've learned to help with it. Yeah.
So you're not going to finish it off?
I can do it.
Go on.
James is going to get
I'm
involved.
just pointing out
yes.
that James was making or modelling the boss, but I think he's then now said that Gareth's 100 times better than him, so he's going to let Gareth do it. But he was trying to code it at the same time. So Are you going to finish it off?
Yeah, I'll happily do it.
There you
It's
go.
good.
Tell me what it wants, it has to pass a poll, then I'll try and do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
So a
did-
venomous attack with the snake. Sorry, the Hellhound boss.
Assuming people want that. I mean,
I think
they're
like
not really venomous.
Greek myths is good, but Hellhound's venomous in game. We've
No,
got to
not at
draw
all.
a distinction between old school and Greek mythology. I think there. So
Where's
if it doesn't
a
fit
Hellhound? Next thing.
that-
Well, he was a hound in hell, right?
Yeah, so he was the guardian of the gates of hell. What's the Greek underworld? Is it Hades?
Hades.
Yeah, he's guardian of the gates of Hades.
That's the underworld, isn't it? It's not necessarily hell. Is Hades hell? Or was it just
Yeah,
the
it's where everyone went when they
Oh,
died, I
jeez.
think.
Well, it depends whether you're
History
talking
lesson.
Tartarus or the other end or something.
Yeah, well, it's far too geeky, we'll shout
All right.
Right.
Let's go on to this one. This one got a lot of support on Reddit. So this is a question from Nocturnal Sky, and he asks, can we have the ability to lock items in our bank? Again, has come up multiple times, but people are asking it again and again, so...
So here's how I'd go about it at the moment. When you lock an item in your bank and then withdraw it, we'd put a sort of placeholder thing in its place, like a ghostly picture of the item. And that would stay there and rearrange with your bank so that the slot's available when the item comes back again. The reason that's difficult though is that all the code that deposits stuff into your bank or checks for space in your bank would have to not just check for space, it'd have to check for one of these placeholders that matches the item in question. When you deposit things, it would have to look for either an empty slot or a placeholder for the item in question. And while we can add more checks to the logic, those checks are taking a long time to run already. Ian and I did some profiling and found out how long it takes for the server to process a deposit order request from your inventory, and it's pretty high at the moment. If we start adding more logic to it, then we're going to start making the servers run badly from people depositing stuff in their banks. So just for the moment, I don't think we should go there. Of course, if the bank were a lot smaller, like if people were okay with us halving the number of bank slots or something, then we could run a lot more script without it being quite so expensive. But I don't think that would go.
Just seeing a comment saying, what are they talking about? We're talking about placeholders. So say, for example, you had one fire cape, you really liked it being in that top left position in your bank tab. When you take it out, obviously something else moves in its spot. This would instead plant a transparent item in its spot, maybe with the number 0 on it, like the picture suggested, and that would be that. So
Wouldn't we need to make a new image for every new item as well?
I can render it semi-transparent,
Okay, there you go.
or
Okay.
as Chris said, write the number 0 on top of it, and or both.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
I know a lot of people that have gotten placeholders already and worked very hard to get many placeholders for.
It is the reason why every holiday event we give 2 away of every tradable item,
Yeah.
so that you can always keep one in your bank.
Or it could be
Use
one
as a
for you,
placeholder.
one for a friend later as a
Yeah.
gift, but or just a placeholder in your bank.
Yes.
All right. So there's your answer. Next question. This one's from Examine Noob, and he asks, could there be a possible buff to the Black Demon's drop table, such as turning even the rune med helms into rune full helms? He's had quite a bit of support as well.
I think John usually overlooks our drop tables because I think he likes to improve some of the ones which aren't very rewarding.
Overlooks or overseas?
I think
Overseas.
Overlooks
yeah.
is ignore, yeah.
You know,
Takes care
yeah,
of them.
overseas. Takes care of, that'll do. Yeah, John usually takes care of our drop table improvements. I think that's a fair call, if people want it, that is. I'm seeing varying things come through here. I'm not sure if that's in relation to actually upgrading the drop table or not, but
I think it's just the Black Demons in specific, as well as I think even the Hellhounds were a highly requested monster as well.
If I were going to buff something in that department, I'd probably start with the Hellhound before going anywhere near
Yeah.
the demons
Yes,
at all.
indeed, yeah.
They
Hellhounds
don't drop
what?
anything
Ashes,
good.
Ashes and clue
Well-
scrolls. That's about it.
Yeah, Hellhounds drop nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even include ashes as a particular drop. It's just.
But they don't drop ashes, right?
Do not drop ashes?
Nope, they drop small bones.
Why am I thinking? Why did I
Not
say
even
ashes?
big
It's not
bones.
demons.
Wow.
It's because you mentioned demons, so you automatically thought
Oh,
they
I
were ashes,
almost
yeah.
certainly, yeah. Actually, I probably just inherited that. So yeah, I'm completely off topic there. But
Maybe, yeah.
The thing is, I always liked Black Demons as a Slayer task because they were just like big bags full of XP that
Yeah.
didn't take very much damage. Were quite easy to kill. So
yeah, they drop bones. I know. kind of figured that one now.
All right.
More on moment.
So we'll
maybe
look at
bigger
that, I
bones
guess.
would help.
Yeah.
Next question. This one's from Examine Noob again, and he asks, when will we know the drop rates of the Wilderness boss pets? And John actually answered this one and said a few weeks' time. So you can take your guesses. You can take your guesses by killing thousands of them and finding out. or you can just wait a few weeks
Yeah.
and still kill thousands of them.
Go
Find
camp
out
in the
there.
wilderness. Do some statistical counting. Send the PK up to join you.
We usually wait about 2 weeks, so from the moment we've launched a new pet, you can reliably assume we're not going to say anything for at least 2 weeks.
All right. Next question. This one's from Totally Kyle. And he asks, will the 30-minute death timer be staying or going now that the servers seem to be more stable?
Same answer with the one about moving the PvP servers to the UK. Let's wait and see what's happening with the servers first to make sure that they are properly done before we start playing around. The worst thing we can do is just have a different death mechanic every 5 minutes, a few weeks, so nobody will know where we're going at, and if we're going to start changing around with that, we want to do it as few times as possible. So let's wait and make sure everything is what it should be, doing what it should be, and then when we're comfortable, we'll move it back.
All right.
Unless you want to keep it permanently, of course, in which case we'll keep it permanently.
Let's move on to this one from Blue Drag, who asks, can you go more in depth on the Abyssal Demon boss and an ETA?
All right, an ETA, I just can't give that at the moment, unfortunately. It'll be in
There'd be
this
a poll
quarter
involved.
coming up, yeah. But yeah, Ash is right as well. There will be a poll too, so it's not even been polled yet. All I've started doing is designing the visual aspect of it. If people have seen my Twitter, we haven't got a picture now, unfortunately, but it's basically very large, rotund. The body cavity opens up to reveal the vortex that abyssal demons travel through inside it, and it can draw you towards it, so it can attack you and get towards you. So there's none of this sort of like long distance ranging planned for it. It's more something that just forces you to engage with it in close quarters, and it can also teleport abyssal demons out of it.
Okay.
I'm tempted to do these sort of bizarre little abyssal fetus style creatures that grow
Ew.
and climb from the gut region.
But totally, yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be really nice. I can't wait to make it, but I don't want to go too far with it, especially the planning stage. Because
Right, it has to pass the
there's
poll
people that
first.
are better at it than me on the team, for one, and it also needs to pass a poll.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea, though.
So when do you anticipate we will be pulling the Slayer stuff, roughly? I wasn't sure whether we're talking April or later in
Yeah,
in the summer.
ideally we'd so it all depends on resizable modes we need to have a proper look at first, because that's sort of the most important thing.
Yeah, I really do want to get in there.
So it really sort of depends on that, so we need to sit down and have a look at that really. I think just wait till after Easter and then we'll sit down and have a think about it. If we can get it before the summer, great. If we can't, resizable mode has to come first. So
There's also what we did last time with the Slayer update, which was pull a whole load of stuff and then deliver it over the next 2 months.
absolutely, there's many options out there, but just need to sit down and have a proper think about that, I think.
Okay. So we've only got a few minutes left, so we'll try to fit a few more in here. There were quite a few questions asked this week, so don't worry if you asked a question. Chances are we'll be saving it for next week, so tune in then. But for the time being, let's go to this one from Sully, who asks, can Ironmen get scrolls of redirection?
Currently they can't.
Yeah,
That was that one, isn't it?
that might be why he's asking if they can have that.
Offer something like that before. I remember the topics come up.
It's definitely been asked before, I can tell you that.
Well, we can certainly make it work.
I don't think we've done anything.
Why
towards that.
can't they? I suppose is a question.
Nightmare
Or
Zone.
why shouldn't they?
Nightmare Zone rewards, they're quite limited in which ones they can have.
Would it be worth if we were going to look at this, maybe other Nightmare Zone rewards as well? So,
I think we wanted to avoid them going at the resources.
Yeah,
Right,
But
absolutely.
right.
things that
That
are
makes
not resources, then we'd have very little problem with it, especially things that can only come from Nightmare Zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't personally have a problem with them having scrolls of redirection at all. I can't think of any reason
No, I can't think of
why
it.
we shouldn't have access to them.
Okay. Getting a fair bit of support in the chat, so probable.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Grafton asks, what happened with this last community stream from Mod Ronan, and what's going to be happening next week?
Twitter is down.
Yeah. Twitch broke.
Twitch broke yesterday, if you guys didn't know.
Wasn't it?
So unfortunately, there was no community stream. However, next week, do you have anything special planned?
Next week, nothing planned at the moment, so open to suggestions. But Matt did mention at some point that he might like to do another maze, 1,000 maze completion.
Yes, that might be quite cool.
Oh, that's really the maze random event where you get a little chest in the
Yeah.
middle that gives you stuff. Seeing 1,000 of those opened.
Yeah,
I'm quite curious.
99%. Yeah.
Yeah. So
be
if you
fair,
have any,
I actually got quite a lot of requests to do another Castle Wars live stream. I think I did last year's
Yeah.
Castle Wars live stream,
At Easter.
and I got, I think, close to, well, it was over 1,000, that's for sure, people inside both the Fight Pit and Castle Wars.
Nice.
Castle Wars is amazing when it's packed.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing.
running through and it just loads each section of players because obviously there's too many players within line of sight, so it was just his players, they disappear. His players disappear. Just
You're
massacre.
not selling the gameplay, mate.
So if you have any suggestions for a community event like
Came
Castle
our
Wars, for
engine.
example, go ahead and tweet at ModRonan. I'm seeing a lot of support for Castle Wars, so what did I say? Oh, don't tweet that. That's probably a fake one.
It is.
Okay.
Just send them to a phishing Twitter. That's
don't,
fine.
don't go there. Go to at JagXRonan. Just gonna say that again. Go to at JagXRonan. Okay. Right. This one's from Nate Dogg, and he asks, similar to the Bones to Peaches spell, can we get an Ashes to Apples spell? Ash?
Yeah, why not?
I just said with ashes, and I think they're going to go nuts for you anyway. So
Ash
Wondering
likes
about
his
the
apples.
availability of apples in the game and whether we want any kind of limits on that kind of thing. But if people are okay with there being a lot more apples coming in,
What do they
then we
heal?
could. That you can't eat them. You use them in
Oh,
recipes
right.
and for paying for crops.
I would. Okay. I'm lost.
Okay, you use them. You put them in baskets and use them to protect your crops by paying gardeners. So that's what they're for mostly, and
Gotcha.
also apple pies. But
I don't know why I thought you'd be able
if
to
we
eat
were
the
okay,
apples.
well, what's a fancy where we can eat the apples?
Right.
Anyway, if people are okay with there being lots and lots of apples coming into the game, rather than them being something you can sell after farming them, then we could let you convert ashes into them. But I'd hate to make apple trees completely redundant.
I can see this also turning just other silly ideas.
And we don't want to upset the apple cart, do we? Oh yeah. I went there.
I think I've missed something. What have I missed?
It was a pun, don't
Yeah,
worry.
don't
you
worry.
need
It's
to graduate
fine.
from dad's school.
And
About
before we
so
go as well, I need
Okay.
to talk about commission staking.
Ah, yes.
There's obviously been a bit of chatter about that recently. Now, to make everything black and white, commission staking is against the rules, whether it is for money or not for money. As soon as we see somebody doing it for a percentage stake, we will just ban them outright, because 60% of the reward trading bans came from commission stakers when we first started looking at it. Now, the people who are 0% commission staking are a different kettle of fish entirely. They're not all bad, so we'll be applying punishments differently. We won't necessarily ban them, we won't necessarily touch them if they're all innocent and doing what they're doing without a problem. However, we do check every single one. So all the people who have currently been complaining that their accounts suddenly get locked or banned, that is because either you bought the account, you've been real world trading on the account, you've stolen money from other people while doing it, so don't do that. But there are many out there who are doing it quite legitimately, and what we're seeing is a whole load of people who are doing all their duels, losing all their money, or getting to a state where they don't want to risk any more money and thinking, no, I still want to kill people, I still want to do my dueling, so they go out there and they get money from other people and do it, give the rewards back and whatnot. And that's all quite legitimate, but every single one of them gets checked, and when you see people sitting there going, oh, Jagex have locked my account, it's probably because it's not your account. You've either bought it, in which case it'll get banned very quickly, you're borrowing it from a mate, in which case you probably don't want to do that either. So yeah, we do check them, and if you see people on streaming who are cheating, just again tweet them at us or send us an email to oldschoolcommunity@jagex.com and we will look at them. So yeah, there we go.
Down in one.
That's some good tea.
That was water.
Okay. So to finalize everything, all the big topics, I guess, from this stream, bonds looking to be next week.
Yep.
If you missed the discussion on Nightmare Zone and Splashing, that will be up in a highlight on the YouTube channel later tonight, as well as if you just missed Matt talking about commission staking, that will also be on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
Aside from that, we have plenty more comments or questions, for next week. So look forward to the next Thursday Q&A stream. But aside from that, guys, give the stream a follow if you enjoyed.
Well, people are out and about PBS07 who was scamming. He's been banned so many times, and we will keep doing it. So we're on top of it. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's almost like that guy that tweeted at you saying, "I only bought it one time. Why did you ban me?"
Yes, exactly. So we don't pull punches, and if people want to go around and be horrible, we will be horrible back.
I don't
No
think
problem with that.
She just basically turned. That's basically your day now.
Yeah.
Just sit there going, who next?
Yeah.
Matt sees everything.
Well,
That's
Wes
it.
does.
All right, guys. So thank you for watching, and I guess we'll see you
Bye.
next week.
Goodbye.